Hi guys! I'm so excited because I am finally here to do my first collective reading. Basically, if you're tuned into this, I genuinely believe that you are meant to hear this message. And me giving this message today is so linked to what the cards are saying, right? So this is my example of me taking the message that came out of these cards and showing up today to do something that I've been resisting. Because I've known inside of me that I wanted to be doing these collective messages, but I've resisted it. So unfortunately, as you can see, the cards are already out. I did not film the card pull because today's Sunday. Every Sunday I pull cards for myself, for my own personal practice. And I don't film my own cards coming up, right? But this message is literally attached to, I kid you not, every single reading that I have done this past week. It is literally lit up in my brain that I need to share this message with every single person that I have done a reading for this past week. And then on top of that, I have multiple people within my friends circle that I was thinking, oh, I need to share this message with this friend. I need to share the message with this friend. I need to share this message with this friend, right? So there was this idea that this energy literally needs to be shared with this collective of people who are in my life. And I don't have the time to share this with every single one of you beautiful souls that I love so much individually. So I thought, why don't I just film it? And if I open up to putting this on my channel, right, then I can trust that the people who need to see this, it will be brought to. So in my heart, I believe that if you are watching this, this is meant for you. And if you're coming across this randomly and you don't know me, I realize it's going to take a lot of trust to believe that these cards actually came out together randomly, that I haven't picked them out, because they're so perfectly linked that it is going to be hard to believe. But then I know that people who do work with me regularly and have had readings done with me, I know you guys will believe it because this happens in every reading. The guides are amazing, our guides. And they always tie everything together, I always say, in like a perfect little bow. And I love that. So let's dive into the meeting. Meeting? That feels like a meeting, sorry. Let's dive into the reading. Normally, I read from my notes. And what I do is when I pull my cards, afterwards I sit with them. I kind of meditate a little bit. I go through the cards individually and the messages that are attached to them, and I get channeling that comes in through it. Now today, I've literally brought out the actual like books, and I'm going to read straight from the book, and I'm going to show you guys that this is coming straight from the book, because that seems to be kind of important, seeing how incredibly linked these cards are. It's very exciting for me. And I know that anybody who has been in these readings with me this past week, I know you guys will be able to believe that this has come out like this, that, you know, I haven't done this. It's just not possible. I am not this clever. I wish I was. I really wish I was. So the first card. So this is in the style of a Cosmic Messages reading, but a little bit more casual because of how I do it for myself. I still put up barriers and boundaries, like really strong boundaries. But when I'm working with my own energy, I'm always a little bit more casual because I'm familiar with my guides, right? There's more casualty around it. Just putting that out there. Yeah, so this is in the style of cosmic messages. Normally I have my pyramid out, but I didn't do that this morning because honestly I wasn't planning on doing a cosmic messages reading for myself. It just kind of happened because I really wanted to work with this Lyran Oracle deck because we're under the 8-8 portal at the moment. 8-8 is literally August 8th. And what 8-8 is, if you're new to all of this, 8-8 is considered a portal energy where on that date, it's called the Lion's Gate portal because it's under the sign of Leo. And on that date, there is an alignment in the stars, in the cosmos, right? Where the stars in Orion's belt are in alignment with the star of Sirius and is in alignment with Earth. And you can look it up on Google, but there is an alignment that happens on 8-8 that the Egyptians were aware of, where their pyramids perfectly align with these stars. So the stars show up above the pyramids in the sky in perfect alignment. So because of this 8-8 energy, right, I really wanted to work with the Lyran Oracle deck today, and I've happened to use this deck this past week in the cosmic messages readings that I've done, and it just kind of happened this way. So I wasn't planning on it, so I didn't have out my pyramid, which I usually bring to ground down the message. The message grounded itself down, but that's like the casualty that I have with my own guides that I mentioned, right? I know, get to the message, I'm getting there, I'm talkative. Right. So first card, the reunion. And I was so happy when I got this card. And this was my first nod that this is so linked to everybody that I've got to work with this past week, because it really does feel like a reunion. There's been like a certain familiarity of working with all of your beautiful energies and bringing you guys the message that, you know, you've each individually needed to hear. They've been so different. But there have been little threads connecting us that it really has felt like a reunion, coming from my perspective of seeing where those threads are intertwining and weaving together. So let's read what it says in the book about the reunion. There is a dream spoken about in the Intergalactic Council, hubs of Sirius A of starseeds on Earth, coming together in communion to shift and liberate your entire planet. I do want to make a disclaimer. Sorry, I will get back into the reading. I do believe in a lot as far as like the starseed stuff goes, but anything that I'm saying, I'm reading from these books. It doesn't always mean that I necessarily align and agree with the exact wording that different authors are using in their work. So I do take what I believe and I leave the rest behind, right? So when I read things about like the exactingness of like Sirius A, right, and Intergalactic Council, I don't know if I fully believe that we as humans have a full grasp on what these different impulses are and how they affect us. But the message that's behind it is still really strong, right? I can still take and extract the message from that. So there is a dream spoken about in the Intergalactic Council hubs of Sirius A of starseeds on Earth coming together in communion to shift and liberate our entire planet. The Starseed Collective of Earth is a powerful group of highly evolved souls who have spent lifetimes in the cosmic realms in order to facilitate this current liberation mission. When starseeds on Earth do converge together, they create such a powerful collective energy that it not only activates all the members that are present in their group, but sends ripples of upgrade to your entire field, to our entire field. This is from this channeled perspective. Opening the doors of cosmic remembrance for all of our species. Although an individual is very powerful in his or her unique own field, this power amplifies greatly each time other members join with similar intention. As starseeds continue to come together and merge, they begin to unlock dormant potential in the collective consciousness and allow for our entire species to return back to the way of counsel, which many advanced galactic species engage in, as well as the original peoples of our planet. We have observed from our perspective, so their perspective is this channeled Lyran group perspective, that your collective has a sharp rise of interest in concepts such as aliens, the universe, evolution, and starseed literature. The next stage of this operation is for these soul groups to converge amongst each other and begin activating projects for the construction of the new Earth. Soul groups can be defined as individuals of like vibration, or in this case, similar cosmic origin that come together to serve intentional missions. Oftentimes, these soul members are very close to your location and are in constant communication with you, whether physically present or not. These soul conversations eventually lead to divine encounters, synchronistic events, and the opportunities for you to meet your star family on Earth. The card of the reunion arrives when you are being prepared to engage in group-based work. This is where I say, hi guys, if you're part of my group, if I've been doing readings with you this past week, if I've seen you this past week, you're part of my group. Know that your star family is currently here or very nearby, and through a series of synchronic events, you shall all meet. Now is an ideal time to be open to meet new individuals in your life and socialize in general. Attempt to release any walls that keep you separated from the rest of society and open up to the greater field through interaction. Through these interactions, many memories will return to your awareness of whom you truly are, for group consciousness unlocks sacred knowledge. Another meaning of this card can indicate that it is time for you to reveal whom you are to your loved ones without hesitation. Due to the past cycle persecution of spiritual beings, many starseeds are not sharing their truth in fear of being ridiculed or not being socially accepted. This card indicates that through opening your truth, whether accepted or not, you reach the individuals in your field from a soul level and are empowered further in your cosmic leadership. Reveal and be empowered. Additional meanings: dropping of boundaries, trust, letting go, spontaneity, change of plans, social connections, and starseed gatherings. And starting from this super high vibrational cosmic level, I do feel like, for my own consciousness, the message that I like to share is, do not let this awareness, right? If this is the first time you're being made aware of this kind of idea, do not let it unground you and take away from the importance of your humanity. Do not ever let this idea of star beings make you think that they are greater or more important or higher beings than us, because the human form is actually an incredibly highly evolved form. And this is why we have had many, many great masters that have chosen to incarnate within the human form, right? We've had many amazing avatars come through on this planet. I know some people will believe that they've existed and others won't. But when we talk about people like Buddha and Krishna and Christ, Jesus Christ, right? They incarnated into the human form because the human form is a highly evolved form. And we are really lucky and we are really blessed to be able to be here and experience humanity. As hard as it may be at times, right? But this is a blessing. Do not let this consciousness, this awareness of star beings unground you, because our work is here on Earth, right? We were born on Earth to do the work on Earth. Next card. Now these cards are, this is card 2 of the deck and this is card 3, and they build on each other, right? So it's perfect that they came out in this way. And then there's a little add-on with this card, which I will get to when I get there. But let's read the message for the card number 2, the Pulse of Life. And then I didn't even notice this. My daughter came downstairs and like just looked at the card and flippantly went, "Oh, that's funny that you got that card, Mommy. That looks like your business's logo." And I went, "Huh, it kind of does." So I thought that was a really beautiful reference that she noticed, because I do love to see that connection between what I am trying to create with Nath's Garden and that being attached to the Pulse of Life. And actually that energy stream that I believe Goddess Nath, the energy stream that she belongs to, I do believe is connected in right at that central part of the galactic core. That's where I think her energy stream comes from. That's why I use her name in my business, even though I work with deities that belong to other energy streams, right? I use Nath as the name because I really resonate with Egypt. And then to me, she's that ultimate feminine aspect that's linked to that central part. And she actually carries a lot of masculine impulses as well. And she's really linked to this idea of the 2 turning into the 3, right? That's why I use a lot of the Vesica Pisces. My mind just went blank. The Vesica Pisces in a lot of my work that I do. So anyway, I'm going on tangents, but I love that my daughter saw that connection. So we've got the Pulse of Life, and this is attached to the galactic core. And this is, it says it in the book, so I won't even go there. I'll just read. The Pulse of Life, and this is attached to a parallel time stream, because this book kind of goes from past, parallel, present, and future. So, like a great galactic clock, the galaxy's core calibrates the rhythm of the evolution of consciousness through its wave emissions. Ancient civilizations such as the Maya were fully connected to it and were able to plot a galactic calendar using this wisdom. All life, including us, can feel this pulse from the core. Look out into the night sky and connect with the dark spot in the Milky Way. Let yourself breathe in this energy, resetting you to the natural pulse of the universe. You cannot rush evolution. This is the card of trust. Let go and allow the universe to work through you. And then there's a commentary which I'm going to read as well. While creation spans an infinite number of galaxies and states of consciousness, this card represents the energy of our home galaxy. At the center of any galaxy, the core acts like a metronome, almost like a heartbeat. that guides the pace of evolution of all consciousness in that particular galaxy. The Maya and other ancient civilizations understood this great role played by the galactic core and were able to interpret this pulse through their advanced calendar system that described the process of evolution from separation back into unity. Everyone is attuned to this metronome, but only some can feel it. In the year 2012, our solar system crossed over the galactic disk, beginning a new 13,000-year cycle of evolution. We are now able to access a whole new energy that facilitates integration and evolution during this new cycle. Some have also called this the rising of the cosmic feminine. If this card has come up in your reading, then it is either acknowledging your innate connection to this galactic pulse, or it is encouraging you to begin developing it. When you do this, the cosmic plan unfolds within you, and it becomes so much easier to connect with the higher self and flow with the natural current of your life, instead of trying to manipulate events with the ego personality. Connecting with this energy brings a tremendous sense of peace and stillness and truly facilitates your journey back home. Right? So this is this groundedness we can feel by connecting in to the center of our universe, to the center of the impulse that we are so interconnected to, right? But this is going a step many steps further than just connecting in. We can connect into our own core, and then from there we can connect into Gaia's core, right? And then we can keep zooming out and finding new centers, new cores to connect to until we make our way to the galactic core, right? So with that lesson, with that understanding of the galactic core, we can move on to the card of change. And this is this link that really connects a lot of us in this past week. Even I could say weeks with my personal friends group. This energy of change keeps coming up. Changing and surrendering to change. And this is linked to the energy stream of Andromeda, also in a parallel timeline. So this is this understanding that everything is happening now, because this is a super zoomed out perspective of everything is happening now, right? There is no past, future, even though these cards do that. This is like a more zoomed out perspective of everything happening all at once on parallel timelines. So change. In physical reality, right? That's where we are. We live in physical reality. This is the gift of humanity. Change is the only constant. We spend so much time and energy trying to keep things the same that we miss the profound experience that change brings. Andromedans live in a very unusual reality paradigm, that of constant change. So Andromeda is a different galaxy. Let's be clear with that. We have the Andromeda star constellation, right, within our galaxy, but then there is also the Andromeda galaxy. So Andromedans live in a very unusual reality paradigm, that of constant change. The change is so dramatic that the only way to orient yourself in reality is to have a strong inner compass based on consciousness. You have pulled this card because either you have a strong connection with Andromedans, you love change, or you need to connect with Andromedan energy and let go of the fear of change. This is your next lesson. And under the commentary, it says, it may seem odd that the energy of a galaxy outside of ours is being utilized in this deck. The reason for this is that you can see yourself more clearly when there is a contrasting idea that can serve as a comparison. The energy of the Andromeda Galaxy provides this contrast to help us see ourselves more clearly. Within the template for experience in our reality lies the issue of polarity. This is a primary theme we must explore on our way back to wholeness. In addition, we have a tendency to like things to stay the same so that we can feel safe and secure. This part of our nature is based on ego need, and until we transcend that need, we will always stay stuck. Living in an Andromedan reality requires us to create an anchor to reality in our own consciousness rather than in the outside world. This is an important concept that actually has to do with how humans will eventually master space travel. It is also profoundly connected to spiritual awakening, right? Anchoring within ourselves, right? Knowing who we are on a consciousness level, not being so attached to our physicality and the material. Because ironically, the material is what we don't take with us. We don't come back with what we had in our previous lives, right? So who are you? Who are you really? And being anchored in that. Being so strong in your belief of who you are that it is unshakable. That things could be changing around you all the time. But you are strong and centered in that core because you know who you are and it does not matter what's going on around you, right? Thus, Andromedans act as masters and guides for our evolution, teaching us to move from polarity and the fear of change to integration and the embracing of the changing nature of reality. If this card appears in your spread, look closely at your relationship to change. Are you addicted to it or do you fear it? Perhaps it is time to forge a new relationship with the only one of the constants in life, change. Right? And then the next card, let's see if you guys can see this. The next card is number 4, Andromeda as well, confusion. And I'm going to read this because even though I did not draw this card, even though this did not come up, believe it or not, the next card that did come up from this other deck, Tumultu, confusion. So it didn't come out in this deck, but it came out in this deck. And before I read what this book had to say, I do want to read what this is because obviously, as far as I'm concerned, that is way too synchronistic to ignore. And I think it did not come out from this deck because if it did, I would not be reading what's in the book for this, right? I wouldn't have even thought about that. But this is clearly 2, 3, 4, and this is literally the 4th card that I've pulled as well. And there's no number attached to this. Like, this is it, right? So I'm going to read this and then I will read the message from this because I think both messages are important. And this is kind of explaining where this confusion comes from, right? We often feel safe and secure when things stay the same. So this is building on this energy because they build on each other. When things change, we feel a profound sense of disorientation or confusion until we can realign ourselves in the new reality and build a map for navigating it. To help this process, try to see that often the same messages or life lessons are being given to you in different packages. What is repeating in your life, right? What obstacles keep being put in front of you? Because there's probably a pattern of your resistance to change that is making this happen over and over again. And until you learn that lesson, you will keep finding yourself in this spot of confusion, right? It says find the continuity in these different messages, right, of these obstacles, these life lessons, the life lessons that keep coming up, and you will ease the confusion. Confusion is only the fear that you don't have a map for the reality in which you find yourself. The Andromedans are masters of change and rising above confusion, right? Because they're surrounded by change constantly, but they have such a strong inner compass that it doesn't sway them. They stand tall. It says, let their energy guide you. And it's saying in the commentary, in order to understand this card, you must understand the concepts explained for change, right? And how necessary change is for energy, right? Because energy is always moving and we are energy. This table is energy. It might manifest in our reality as a solid physical thing, but we know that if you zoom in enough, it's just energy particles vibrating so fast that it's created something solid that I can use on this plane of existence. But it is energy. We are energy, right? So the idea of constant change is actually embraced and understood by Andromedans because they see the fear of change as being connected to a state of attachment. Attachment to things, ideas, or ways of being can deeply hinder awakening and growth. Thus, the Andromedan reality reflects these principles. When we walk down the street, we see a consistent reality that seemingly doesn't change. But in Andromedan reality, which is more aligned with the true state of pure consciousness, reality changes constantly as a reflection of the observer. This is true for humans also, but we haven't yet understood this fact. If people cannot or will not embrace change and create a safe harbor or anchor in their own consciousness, rather than in the external world, they will experience a profound confusion and fear when reality inevitably changes and they feel lost. They then become distracted by the phenomena, positive or negative, of the manifested 3D world. It is like a compass that has stopped working. They lose touch with their inner sense of direction and focus. This card is speaking about that state. If it comes up in your reading, it is usually a warning to not succumb to this trap of physical reality and to examine your life to see where you have accepted illusions as truth. Once again, there are many Andromedan guides and masters who can assist in this process. Right, so that was the confusion card, but we're going to move to the book for this deck. And I'm actually only going to read, there's not much in here, but what it says is quite important, right? It says, when there are too many factors to be analyzed in a situation, or there doesn't appear to be any order, we become confused and varying levels of panic ensue, depending on the importance we place on resolution. If solving a riddle becomes top priority, it will be solved if we remain calm and focused and work on solving one problem at a time, right? So if you're confused, just try to stay focused on one thing at a time. Stop looking at everything surrounding you, swimming around you, and just focus on what is that one step you can take. What is that one thing you can do to move you a bit further? And then keep focusing on that until you get to where you need to be, right? One thing at a time. That is the only way. Instinctually, we all know this, but sometimes an issue may intimidate us so much that we become overwhelmed by the daunting tasks ahead of us. This is a critical time for many people because it is at this point of confusion that they abandon something that was worth pursuing because it's too hard. What we must remember is that clarity is a prize that we must bestow upon ourselves by being patient and persistent in the quest. So if you want clarity, if you're in confusion and you want clarity, then you've got to be persistent and not give up. It doesn't matter if things are so foggy that you can't see in the distance. If you can only see your 2 feet in front of you, then take those steps, right? If things are murky even at your feet, right? Then take the steps you need to clear that first, right? Just do what you can. Just focus on what you can do. And then you will eventually, if you keep focusing on what you can do instead of telling yourself what you can't, because that's what stops us, right? And when we resist change, then we're just not in alignment with this pulse of life, because change is constant, it's inevitable. And if we resist change, what happens? Change is forced upon you. So you can either have control of the change by embracing it, and then you can become the creator of your own reality. But when you resist change, do not think that change will not occur. What often happens is those of us who resist change, things get to a point where our world starts to feel like it's crumbling around us because the universe will force change. So you can take the initiative and the motivation to create change for yourself and allow that change, because energetically, change is constant. Let yourself be in control of the change, though. It's inevitable. Don't let your world start crumbling around you because you've resisted change so much, right? Change doesn't have to be big and sweeping, but don't let yourself become locked in really mundane patterns. Life is not meant to be boring. Children embody that lifestyle of change and excitement and playfulness beautifully and perfectly. So explore your inner child and try to remember what it was that lit you up from inside as a child. And maybe let your change be guided from that lens, because as adults, we kind of forget how to have fun. You ask a child what they want to be when they grow up and they'll start listing things off, right? You ask an adult what they want for lunch and they tell you they can't figure it out. They can't decide. Did I read this part? I don't think I did. If you get confusion in a reading, you are not clear about one or several important factors related to your question, right? So if you're feeling confusion, obviously there's something you're not understanding, right? And you need to be in order to move forward. It may be telling you not to be afraid to seek more information and ask questions, or you may be warned against giving up altogether because you find the quest to clarification too difficult. So what this is warning us, right? This is warning us that if you get to this point, it's inevitable that change is going to happen. If things start getting confusing, don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to keep pushing forward. Because asking questions to gain clarity is the solution that allows you to keep moving forward in momentum instead of having things fall down on you. That's where you gain control. So we've got this beautiful, beautiful, amazing message coming through about this reunion, right? On a soul level reunion. This is our soul family coming together. I know I have a friend that I spoke to about this week, about the soul family reunion. So I hope you're laughing right now. I love you so much. Yeah. So with this soul family reunion that's happening, let's recognize how amazing that is that we've found each other, right? And then let's remind ourselves to plug in to that pulse of life and recognize that this change that is coming up in all of our energy streams, it's coming up because it's inevitable. Change is constant. And don't let yourself get trapped by the confusion that change brings. The confusion that change brings is normal and expected, right? Confusion, there's nothing wrong with confusion, but this is where you have to persist. This is where you have to prove that you can earn the reward by persistence, right? Things don't come easily, but you will get clarity if you keep asking questions. If you keep pushing forward, you will get clarity, right? So do not give up. And guess what you will be rewarded with? This is the 9 of Pentacles, and this is just your regular Rider-Waite tarot deck, right? I like to use this really basic deck when I work with this deck because I find this deck to be quite ironically confusing. It's not confusing, it's just so esoteric. This is the Sibyl's Oraculum. I love this deck, but I always pair it personally in my own practice with the Rider-Waite because the Rider-Waite, there's so many guidebooks. Like I have multiple that explain these cards. There's so much information about the Rider-Waite deck and Rider-Waite style decks in particular that you can just get such direct guidance, right? So I love this deck. I love working with the Rider-Waite when it comes to like really out there decks. Although this message is not that out there at all. It's beautiful. But, right, everything that I just talked about, us coming together at this time and plugging into this pulse of life and having this feeling, this impulse, this need to create change, and this confusion that's coming in around us because that's inevitable as well. Guess what? If we can keep pushing through it, we are being told, right? Because the 9 of Pentacles, we are being told that we will reap rewards. And this is the time of year, right? We're at Lunasa. This is this idea that all of these seeds that we've planted way back at Imbolc, right? Imbolc, the time of all of these deities that plant seeds, basically. Seeds of change, the first hope of spring. That energetic impulse that belongs to the flame bearer, right? The one who lights the fire, lights up our excitement and motivation to create. And now we're at harvest. We've just passed Lunasa, the first harvest festival, and now we're in harvest season. We are building up to the autumn equinox, right? And this card is all about financial and material success. I'm going to leave this down and not hold it up because it's obviously a bit bigger and a bit heavier. So maybe I will hold this up, or I'll leave this here actually. So you guys, if you can see this, you can read along. I don't know. Probably depends on what kind of screen you're watching on, whether or not this is big enough to really read along. But the 9 of Pentacles symbolizes financial and material success. It highlights a comfortable life resulting from practical planning, discipline, and commitment to personal goals, not giving up, persisting through the confusion to finding the clarity, right? In this card, someone stands outdoors, relaxed and secure in their surroundings. All necessary steps have been taken to ensure that life is stable. This allows time for hobbies and simple routines by which the days, weeks, and seasons are measured. The snail on the ground suggests that building security and stability takes time. Slow, steady steps are required. These are these little steps of getting through the confusion to reach clarity, right? It's not easy. No one is suggesting that this is easy. All we are suggesting is that you must persist at this time if you want to have everything that you deserve, right? we do have to put in a little bit of effort, right? Constant effort, not just effort today and then not having the patience to see it out till we get to the rewards. This is constant effort. Slow and steady steps are required to develop solid wealth and fulfillment. The fruits on the vine are ripe and represent the rewards of labor. This individual is successful in their chosen career as well as with financial management. Right? It says, in a general reading, the upright 9 of Pentacles, I've skipped down here, indicates a financially comfortable life. It can signify a self-made person whose success results from training, planning, and applied effort. Right? This is this idea that if you can persist through this change energy that has been surrounding all of you that I've spoken to this past week, right? And even if I haven't spoken to you this past week, if you're coming across this more randomly, perhaps you feel like on accident you've stumbled upon it, understand that it's not an accident, that your guides have brought you here for a reason. And I do believe that. But if you've been here with me this past week and you've had a reading, I know you guys have, I think I've talked about change with all of you guys, right? And this is this promise that when you can embrace change and surrender to it and work through the confusion that may come up as a result, there is this promise of success from the universe because you're rooted into the galactic core. You're rooted into the pulse of life. And it's not working against it. It is absolutely working with us and for us because we are a part of it. And as something that is a part of it, it has no desire to see us fail. When we fail, that is more of a reflection of us resisting this energetic impulse that is looking for change, right? If we want to learn things, we've got to go out and apply ourselves, right? Learning requires change. We don't learn by just sitting around doing nothing. And that's really what the impulse of change is all about. This is about us reaching our life lessons. Sitting around and resisting change does not bring the experiences we need to learn the lessons that we have come here to learn, so we can overcome and burn off the karma that we've built up, right? And we have been born in a time that is heralding change, right? This light bearer energy that has been coming through really strongly this week, this light bearer energy heralds change. She holds up the flame, heralding change. She guides the way. So our last card is Numite and Black Dahlia. And this is the void. Ego shattering, soul fragments, and emptying. And this reading can almost be a circle because this kind of, this message circles around. And that's almost like recognizing the fact that we're into the center of the galactic core, which is always spinning, right? And change, this energy of change, right? Energy is always moving. This energy actually swirls around, and this card connects all the way back up to here. So even though this is all built on each other, it connects back, and it's going to start spiraling out, right? It doesn't just create a circle, right? Because the circle just retraces its steps. But when you actually have change involved, then you spiral out. So because we've gathered lessons along the way and we spiral out. This is that vortex energy, the void energy that's actually in this depiction, right? We've got the center of the galaxy. You can see the galaxy swirling around here. We've got this pulse of life in this image. So let's read from the last book and we'll be done. And how beautiful is this message? I love it, love it, love it so much. That I forced myself to bring on change, right? To push through my own shadows that have been telling me like, oh, I don't know if doing collective readings is something I want to get into, even though I've felt like it. I've kept feeling this impulse to do it, right? I've pushed through this part of me that doesn't want to do it. Mostly because honestly, it's so attached to everybody that I've been talking to that I feel like I have to. I'm getting like that push over the, I feel like I'm being pushed off the cliff. But it's because my guides know that I have wings, right? They're not pushing me to hurt me. They're pushing me so that I can learn that I can fly. Right, Numite and Black Dahlia, the void. Ego shattering, soul fragments, and emptying. Now I love this idea of soul fragments because this is what this idea of what the reunion is. This is us picking up those fragments, right? And this idea of needing to break down our ego came up in this card, right? To not be coming from an ego place. Was it this card or this card? I don't really remember. I know it came up. Numite. Gaze at this black void. How does it make you feel? It's just saying gaze at this black void, right? Does the darkness and nothingness instill fear, or do you find it safe, a nurturing space to step into? The void is the cosmic mother's womb. I think of this as being Nath. I think of this as the Vesica Pisces. Sacred geometry, right? The Vesica Pisces. A limitless black vortex of nothingness where everything is stripped back. The ego shatters and transformation takes place. We transform when we allow ourselves to go through change. This is all of this. Everything that I have spoken about is this card, right? It challenges you to empty yourself, to open a sacred space within. Here, deep wisdom can enter and questions are answered. Most spiritual people who have gone through their dark night of the soul will tell you that this path is hard. It's not all sprinkles and sunshine. It gets intense and feels lonely at times. You have to dig deep to access pain you were not aware you held. You have to rethink your views on everything, and sometimes it can feel like the rug has been pulled out from under your feet. You are in a state of constant change. Your ego is stripping away, and you are trying to come to terms with a new you. As everything you thought you knew about yourself consisted of others' conditioning and projections, it is challenging. This is spiritual awakening. We need to surrender to fear and embrace the infinite vastness of the void. If we embrace it with as much enthusiasm as we embrace the light, we will be born again over and over, each time richer for the experience. To embrace your truth, you need to surrender to both the light of your essence and the blackness of the void. Numite shimmers mystical golden light through its black core, hinting that there is always light within you, even if you cannot see it. It is a masculine stone. The golden and black ray are strongly imbued within it. It's also a support for men and anyone wanting to resolve issues with their father. It was formed, now I have to say, I don't know what it is, but every time in this book, this author, whenever she gives like masculine and feminine qualities to things, I tend to disagree with her. I'm just putting it out there. I don't agree with that. It's not an offense to the author in any way, shape, or form, because this is a very beautiful deck, and I'm not picking on her, but I also feel like I just want to say that I don't agree with that it's masculine. I think the chaos of Numite Numite is a very chaotic looking stone. I think that really embodies the feminine energy. I mean, this whole card is talking about the feminine energy. Of course, there's always a masculine impulse in there, right? And I think you can see that stone carrying a bit of both. Just like I say that Nath, as an archetype, carries a bit of both. So she's a feminine deity, but she was always shown, or not always shown, but she was often shown as having a phallus, right? She had the masculine creative organ. Yeah, so I just need to say that because I've found that come up other times in this book. But that's just perception, and that's okay. I'm not saying she's wrong at all. It's just my perception is different and how I view it. That's totally okay. Right. It's also a support for men. Oh, I already read that. It was formed millions of years ago from volcanic origins. It draws that fiery primal earth energy up to ground you. It wishes to help you dive deep and journey through intense transformation, offering you a clear vision of your true self. It is time to focus on revisiting past hurts through the Akashic field. Numite is a journey stone that wishes to empower, to steer your focus to retrieving soul fragments to help you integrate back for completion of healing. As it transports you, it holds a strong electromagnetic field around you, strengthening your auric shield against negative energy, manipulations, and environmental pollutants. Archangel Azrael is overlighting this card and wishes to connect with you. He is the keeper of the black ray, along with his twin flame, Archaea Magdalena. The angel of transitions, he represents hidden pathways and the transition energies between them. And then Black Dahlia, which is also on this card. Black Dahlia has come to assist Numite's messages and enforce feelings of inner strength and embracing change. They have been given the unfair meaning of betrayal and sadness due to their color evoking darkness, death, and mourning. But all is not as it seems. They are emotionally sensitive and I'm stumbling over my words at this point. They are emotionally sensitive and protective of energy. They wish to have people think of them with the love they deserve. They wish to challenge how you think and feel. Much like how Numite wishes you to access the void and sit with these challenging feelings rising within you, so does Black Dahlia. She asks you to challenge yourself, to stand tall and grow through adversity. Right? This is this energy of pushing through confusion. Like the darkness of the void space, as a team, they bring expansiveness through release, surrender, and self-realization. They are the feminine, mystique, wise woman energy that balances out the masculine of the Numite. Journeying with them together to the void, they will be your gatekeepers. Right, so how I normally set up my readings is this is a message, and then I anchor it in with tools that you can use to work through this energy stream. So this is for people who haven't ever worked with me before. Understand that the energy of Numite and Black Dahlia is something that you can tap into to work. Like, this is something you can work with on the 3D plane, right? You can get a Numite stone. They are a bit more expensive and really hard to come across. They only come out of Greenland. And there is like any stone really, there's only a finite amount, but they are much harder to get your hands on. That being said, if you do not have access to Numite, you can get any clear quartz. You can get any clear quartz and you can ask it, right? You can ask it to connect with the energy of Numite, right? I'm actually going to use this piece because this has like these little beautiful black spots in it. You can ask it to connect into that energy. And this talks about the Akashic fields, right? So you can ask the higher self of this crystal, whichever clear quartz you're working with, you can ask it to meet with the higher self of Numite, or with that energy stream, with that spirit. And you can ask it to gather wisdom for you, to work with the energy streams of the Numite, to bring you the wisdom that you're looking to be supported with at this time, right? And the same with Black Dahlia. You can physically work with those flowers, or those petals. Don't eat them. This is like energetically, you could have little, you could create like little sachets. You could take a little, oh, let me just, I'm saying you could take a little baggie, right? And you can fill it with your intentions and dahlia leaves, let's say. You could burn it and send your intentions up into the others, right? I feel like I said that wrong, but you get my point, I hope. Play around. Don't take it too seriously, right? Take your sovereignty seriously. Take the boundaries that you place when you work with these energies seriously. But when you're actually creating, let yourself be playful, because that's where creativity comes from, right? So do what feels right to you. When you work with the quartz, right? When you work with the dahlia, don't just do something because I said it and feel like, oh, let me watch the video again. How exactly did she say that? I want to do it exactly that way. Be playful and trust your instinct, right? Because I know all of you, when I've tapped into you, you guys have this intuition, this strong intuition that's asking you to listen. Some of you have strong intuition that I know you have been listening to, and your guides have come through like you guys are stars. That's great. Right, and that's the message. And if you've been thinking of booking with me, you have an idea now kind of how things come through. Now, individually for you, your reading might have a slightly different sound to it, because I will invite in your guides as well. But in general, this is me, right? It's all coming through my lens and how I speak. Right, so this has been a hugely helpful message for me. I hope it's as impactful for you, and that you can make good use of this message, that it can encourage you to stop resisting change, because I know that energy is showing up strongly for everybody, I think, honestly. This is why this is being put out as a collective message. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will really try my best to be back soon. Maybe this can be like a Sunday ritual. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, bye guys.